It's been a few weeks since last watching Dune, and I only seem to love it more and more every time I think about it. The cinematography is stunning, the score is incredible, and the world building is out of this world.
Cannot take such risks. Yes, sir. You have responsibilities.
I'm sorry, sir, it won't happen again.
Go.
As I said in my previous video on Dune, which if you haven't already seen, I'll put a link in the top right corner and description below. If you liked it, I'd make a follow-up looking at how Denis Villeneuve crafted the world of Dune, and it seems as though you really did, so I am. Now, I just want to preface this by saying that I haven't actually read the books, so I'm not going to be comparing worlds and whatnot. I'm instead going to be looking at how Villeneuve built his own world for House Atreides. In today's video, I'll be looking at just two things: Denis Villeneuve's pre-production process, as well as the world building. The pre-production process for this film was long, very long, and I think the best way to explain it would be in a timeline. It goes without saying that Denis Villeneuve is a big fan of the franchise. In fact, it was his first big dream as a director from when he was a teenager, even saying, "I was afraid of not being able to be good enough, that I will not be able to please that teenager that was dreaming 35 years ago about this movie." Now, before Villeneuve was even attached to the project, another adaptation was in the works at Paramount, with Peter Berg set to direct. Then, after dropping out in 2009, Pierre Morel was brought on in 2010. However, in March 2011, as they couldn't come to a middle ground, they dropped the project altogether. Now, this is where Denis is introduced once again. He expressed interest in September, but first wanted to finish Arrival and Blade Runner 2049. However, this time, several collaborators were brought onto the production, including editor Joe Walker, production designer Patrice Vermette, and cinematographer Greig Fraser. This is where Villeneuve stated that this would not just be one film, but in fact a two-part film series, later adding in 2021 that he is planning a trilogy, with the third film being based on Dune Messiah, but not much is known of this at the time of me writing this video. Back to the writing of the film though, Villeneuve brought on two co-writers, Eric Roth as well as John Spites. Denis didn't want to build on Lynch's version of Dune though, as whilst he respected it, he remembers being half satisfied with it. My goal was really to make sure that the hardcore fans will find the atmosphere and poetry of the book intact. This is also the year that Timothée Chalamet was cast as Paul Atreides, as well as the year that they began negotiations with Rebecca Ferguson to play Lady Jessica. The majority of the ensemble was cast in 2019 however, with Zendaya, Oscar Isaac, Josh Brolin and Javier Bardem joining the film, just to name a few. Then finally on March 18th, 2019, principal photography for Dune had finally started, but I have a video all about that, so I'm not going into that here. As I said previously, I haven't read the books. I do plan to, but I just haven't gotten around to it yet. The world building in this film still feels quite subtle to me though. We are clearly shown the visions of what Villeneuve views the franchise as, but we are more focused on the story of the characters, which for most people, including me, is exactly what we need. There are three main worlds in this film: Caladan, Arrakis, and then Giedi Prime, which is the planet that House Harkonnen and the Emperor live on. Now, I don't know if it's just the fact that we aren't there for long, but Caladan has to be my favourite of these three. It feels calmer, for obvious reasons, but also it's absolutely essential to the rest of the story, and since we start there, it sets us up for the rest of the film. We have this really sleek and clearly 20,000 years in the future modern, yet contemporary palace. It's elegant, refined, and has ceilings tall enough for Jason Momoa. Now, looking at Arrakis, we actually have a very similar situation. The palace is sleek, contemporary, and pretty much is exactly what you imagine when you think of this setting. With Arrakis though, we see a lot more of the population, more specifically, the Fremen, and we do have some very interesting locations surrounding their society, my favourite being that old research station that they are caught in, and I think it perfectly encapsulates the awareness that Paul and Lady Jessica now have. There really isn't much to go off with the Harkonnens planet though. It seems colossal, but also very bare and very dark. Whilst I'm not the best person to go in depth about the world building of Dune in general, I think I have a unique stance on it since I went into this film completely blind, yet it made complete sense and I didn't feel lost in the world in the slightest.
Enough.
Overall, this was a film that was practically decades in the making, if we include what was in Denis' head, and the world building throughout allowed for viewers like myself to fully immerse in the world of Dune without being confused in any way. We have clear and memorable buildings, carefully chosen locations, and it all just feels right. If you haven't already seen my video on the cinematography, then I'll link it again in the top right corner and description below. But I think that's all I have to say for Dune, until 2023. I hope you enjoyed this video looking at how Denis Villeneuve crafted the world of Dune. If you have a film or TV show that you would like to see me analyse, then leave a comment down below. If you found it informative, a like is appreciated, and if you would like to see more videos like this, then hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.